everyone, and welcome back to Hockey Talk. I'm your host, Jack Brooks, and today I will be recapping the Atlantic Division. And now, before we get started, last episode I didn't do a bold prediction, so I will do one this episode. And on that note, let's get started into this podcast. So, as you may know, the Toronto Maple Leafs are in first place in the Atlantic Division with a record of 6 wins, 3 losses, and 0 losses in overtime. And here's what I think of their performance so far. Now, to me, I did not expect them to be this good. I did not see them as even a playoff contender. Honestly, I didn't. They have now risen out of nowhere. I did not expect this at all. They have been playing really good all season, and their record shows it. This is a team that definitely made some offseason moves for their defense and offense, but mostly defense. So I think that they're really doing good. And now, in second place, the Montreal Canadiens. To me, they have a really good lead on the Canadiens, as the Canadiens have a record of 4 wins, 1 loss, 2 losses in overtime. So they already have that good lead, but they definitely need to keep this up because the Canadiens are a team of knowing to come back during the regular season. So no matter how good they're playing already, they definitely really do need to keep it up. And to me, if they can keep the top spot in the Atlantic Division at the 3/4 mark of the season, I am saying no matter what, at that point, they're making the playoffs. Because, you know what, they won't choke in the regular season. They might choke in the playoffs because they are the Maple Leafs. You give them a chance to be in the playoffs and they totally blow it. But in the regular season, the way this team has been playing, the really good moves that the management has made, this is a good team. So to me, at the 3/4 mark of the season, I don't care how much they're leading by. I don't care what the record is. They are making the playoffs. And now in second place in the Atlantic with a record of 4-1-2, as already mentioned, are the Montreal Canadiens, and here's what I think of their performance so far. So now look, Toronto has a good lead on them, so they really need to catch up. Now going back to Toronto being able to choke in the playoffs but not in the regular season, that is when the Toronto Maple Leafs are actually doing good in the regular season. When they're actually doing good in the regular season, it is very hard to catch up to them, especially, like I mentioned earlier, with the great defensive moves they've made in the offseason, adjusting their wings and their linemen. Very good job. And I know it's early in the season, but they do have a comfortable lead on them. So the Montreal Canadiens definitely do need to catch up, and they're playing good hockey. I think they're playing good hockey. Obviously not as good as the Maple Leafs, but they definitely do need to really step it up a notch, maybe make some trades already, and really power this team through. And if they have to keep on fighting, to me, to get the wild card spot by the end of to at least make the wild card by the end of the season. Now look, I know, like I said earlier, I know it's very, very, very early in the season. I know, they're already not in the wild card spot, even though they're in second place. But they really got to keep it up, because the Canadiens, with the performance that the division is, the way that the division is playing, the way that the Maple Leafs are playing, to me, this division, it's not usually tough. This is not usually a tough division, but man, has the Atlantic stepped it up a notch, and I mean pretty much all the teams. Not all of them, but pretty much. Now look, this is all, for whatever reason, somehow a tough division this year. So the Montreal Canadiens, even though they're in second place, they do need to keep on fighting, because with the division, the way it's been doing so far in the season, it's going to definitely be a challenge to continue to play this good hockey and to at least make the playoffs. So they got to make sure that they don't fall back to the wild card, because even if they're in a wild card spot at some point in the season, they got to make sure that they can't go in that position, because like I said, with this tough division, for whatever reason, this division is tough this year. if you go back into that wild card spot, to me, they are not coming out. So they definitely need to make sure that they're one of the top teams in the conference, not in a wild card spot, because this division is rough this year. And if you let them push you into the wild card, the way that this division is playing hockey, there is no coming back for me. So now, as promised, I will do a bold prediction, and this week's bold prediction is if the Capitals or the Penguins get first place at any time during the season in their division, they will stay in first place for the rest of the season unless the other team gets in first. So that might sound confusing, but what I'm saying is if the Capitals get in first place in this division, they are staying in the Metropolitan Division. They are staying in first place unless the Penguins take over. And if the Penguins are in first place, they're staying in first place for the rest of the season unless the Capitals take over. And now here's why I think that. These are two really overpowered teams in a weak division. And look, I know they're not doing so good right now, but these are two really good hockey teams, as they have proven for the Capitals last year and for the Penguins the last 3 years before that. These are two good hockey teams, and even though, as mentioned in the last episode, the Carolina Hurricanes are in first and the Devils are in second, this team can really catch up. And to me, let's be real for a second. It doesn't matter how good the Hurricanes are playing. It doesn't matter how good the New Jersey Devils are playing. What is going to happen if the Capitals or the Penguins gain first place at any point in the season? There's no chance that the Hurricanes, who would have the best chance at this point to knock them out if they do gain first place, will have the power to really go over this phenomenal playoff playing team and really knock them down and take over first place again. This is way too tough. These are two way too tough hockey teams, and they know that if they get in first, they do not want to give it up. They are determined, and when these hockey teams are determined to do something, they will accomplish it in the regular season. And now, look, if the Capitals are determined to stay in first place, the Penguins might knock them off, because that's another overpowered team, as they have proven that is in this conference. So to me, they're going to be determined once they get in first place or second place, and the other teams in the Metropolitan Division will really have no chance. And and that's what we're going to end it on. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed. Please like the episode and leave a comment down below on what you think of the Atlantic Division so far. And please leave a comment down below if you think if one of the Penguins or the Capitals get first place, will they be knocked out by the Hurricanes or the Devils? Please join me here next week on Saturday. I won't be doing a bold prediction then, but that is my next episode, and it will be a lot of fun making it like it always is. And until then, I'm Jack Brooks, signing off for now, here on Hockey Talk.